This happened over 10 years ago, so excuse me if the details are a little fuzzy. When I was in high school, my friend Claire came to sleep over. We had some plans to sneak out and hang out with some guys, and then one of them would drive us home. We go out to our friend's apartment, have some fun, and around midnight we decide it's time for us to head back. But when we ask to be taken back, everyone says no, despite previously agreeing to bring us back. Everyone said they were too drunk or too high, so we eventually decided to just start walking back, and we would make some phone calls on the way to see if anyone could pick us up. My house was a good 20 minutes by car, so there was no way that we were walking all the way back. The apartment was towards the back of the complex, so we started making our way to the entrance. We don't even get halfway there before a car starts slowly rolling up behind us. I was 15 or 16 at the time and very naive to the ways of the world, so I wasn't too concerned. But Claire was a little smarter than me on this night. She tells me to start walking faster, so we start walking faster. The car also picks up their pace behind us. Again, she tells me to walk faster, so we start moving as fast as we can. And that's when the car pulled slightly in front of us, and two of the passenger doors opened and two men got out. Realizing there's no walking faster to get out of this situation, she instructs me to run now. So she takes off running and I follow her. She runs towards a group of parked cars and jumps behind a pickup truck. And for a minute we hope and pray that we weren't spotted. This is where the details get a little fuzzy. One of them must have gotten back in the car at some point, as there's only one of them following us behind the truck. We hear a set of footsteps quickly approaching, and she quietly indicates that we're now going into stealth mode. This man is on the other side of the truck that we're hiding behind. He's circling the truck looking for us, and we're slowly and quietly circling it on the opposite side to avoid being spotted. It felt like a scene from a movie or a video game. We somehow managed to do 2 or 3 circles around the vehicle without being detected, and by the grace of the gods, he gives up and goes back to the car. This is our one shot to get away. She tells me to run again, so we run for what felt like an eternity, but in reality it was probably only 15 or 20 seconds. We find the pool house area and find a spot to hide. We were hidden behind some fences and bushes, and were anxiously waiting to see if they would discover us. Their car pulls around the pool house, and we're biting our nails hoping they don't hop out. The car slowly drives away, and we realize we haven't been spotted. We were safe now. But the car circled around the apartment complex for hours and hours. They weren't giving up on looking for us. We were safe for the time being, but now we needed to find a way out of there. It was the middle of winter, and of course we were dressed to impress guys we want to hang out with, so short shorts and revealing tops. We were freezing. We found a dirty, disgusting Captain America blanket that we huddled up under while making phone calls to find someone to pick us up. We tried contacting the guys at the apartment, but no one answered their calls. None of our friends answered our calls. We felt completely alone and hopeless, but around 5 a.m., someone finally answered, and they said they would pick us up. The best news I had ever heard in my life. Our friend gets to the apartment complex, but can't find the pool house. The group of men is still constantly circling around, so there's no way we're coming out from hiding. We managed to figure out where our friend is with a little detective work, figuring out what building they're facing, what's in front of them, are there any dumpsters nearby, etc. We figure out where they're at, so we make a run for it. We spot their car and hop in as fast as we can. Go, 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 we tell them, and our friend speeds off towards the entrance. We passed the group of men on the way out, and that was the last we saw of them. We made it back around 6 a.m., just in time to sneak back in without my parents ever knowing we even left. If Claire hadn't been with me that night, I would have quite possibly been abducted, raped, and possibly even killed. So thankful to Claire and her friend that picked us up. But a big FU to the adult men we went to hang out with as teenagers, and especially FU to the guys that intended to harm us. On a happier note, I'm now very diligent and aware of my surroundings, and we washed the dirty Captain America blanket and shared custody of it for years after this encounter. There's a YouTube video linked to this story that will be down in the description. I am in university right now, but staying with my parents at their house for the summer. I was hanging out with one of my friends and we decided to go to a party. I met this guy around my age, we were talking and having some fun, but it was nothing too serious, or so I thought. We exchanged phone numbers. We hung out a couple of times, but he became incredibly clingy right from the start, so I decided to distance myself in the hopes that he would get the hint and back off. Well, he didn't. When I stopped responding, he sent me over 100 messages, with each becoming increasingly more aggressive as time went on. Keep in mind, it had only been less than 2 weeks since we first met. I finally responded and told him he needed to chill out. He appeared to calm down a bit after I responded, but he asked for a phone call. I agreed, and we talked for a while. He told me that he couldn't stop thinking about me, that I was the best thing that had ever happened to him. Just a bunch of stuff that was way too intense to say to someone you barely know. I tried to let him down gently, reminding him that I was only home for the summer and I wasn't looking for anything serious beyond a fling, but this only made him angrier. He started yelling at me, insulting me, calling me a slut, basically a complete 180 from what he had been saying mere minutes ago. Then all of a sudden, the phone went silent. After a pause, he said in a quiet voice, "You better be ready, because I'm coming for you." And then he hung up the phone. This was very frightening because he knew my parents were out of town for the week and that I was staying at their house alone. However, he didn't know where my parents' house was because I was always the one driving, and he didn't know my friend either. So I thought he had no way of figuring out. Since, again, normally I'm living at school or in another state. Regardless, I locked all the doors and shut the blinds just in case. After a while, maybe an hour or so, I fell asleep. When I woke up, I looked at my phone and saw a notification on my lock screen. It was from the Ring app, indicating that there had been movement on my parents' camera. It was him. If you watch the video, you can clearly see something in his hand. When he notices the camera, however, he left. I immediately blocked him on everything and reported the incident. I have no idea what he planned doing once he got here. It was terrifying to realize that he had come over when I was asleep and defenseless. As I would later find out, he was able to get my address from my phone number. Apparently he had Googled it, and it turned up my dad's name and the owner of the phone number along with my parents' address. Since I'm on my parents' phone plan, I guess it shows up that I still live here. This revelation was horrifying, as I never knew my phone number could reveal my home address. I'm still extremely upset, and this kind of private information on the internet for anyone to find is incredibly dangerous. Please learn from my mistakes and do not give anyone your phone number unless you trust them. My advice is to use a disposable number for anyone you're talking to that you meet informally or online. America Online was a big thing when I was 13. Or in other words, for my generation, AIM, which stood for, you guessed it, AOL Instant Messenger. I didn't have any photos of myself back then when you had to take digital photo and upload it from your camera. Plus I was 13 and self-conscious, and I'm sure anyone can relate with that. But one day, a guy popped up on my screen saying I want to chat. It went fine at first. I was very naive back then, and we quickly fell into a pattern of talking. His name was Dave, and lived in California. Dave eventually ended up telling me he loved me, but the problem was I was quote-unquote 19. I wasn't proud of this at first, being 13. I just sent pictures of some random girl and said it was me. He instantly fell for me, telling me that age is just a number and how mature I was. Now at this point, he did not live in-state, so there was no chance of us ever meeting. Eventually he told me him and his mom were moving to a city that was about an hour and a half from me. He started begging me to see him and go to a movie, anything. I had to break the catfish truth and say that those weren't pictures of me but of someone else. He was furious. He had been looking forward to a different type of child the whole time. Dave forgave me a few days later, saying, "I still want to meet you because I love you." All the things you say to a young girl to get her to swoon. I think back and I'm like, wow, I was 13. So I told my best friend everything. I explained the previous contents of the story and that I wanted her to come with me to go meet him. There was a whole plan about him driving to see me and going to the movies to finally meet what I thought was the love of my life. I'd been brainwashed into believing that this was normal. I didn't tell my mom, of course, and honestly, she didn't notice any of it was going on to begin with. So the day my friend and I were going to meet up with Dave, her mom came and picked us up from school. She said something that made my stomach drop into nothingness. She said, "Chrissy, you're not going to the movies. You're not going to meet that man. You're going to get seriously hurt or kidnapped, and I can't allow you guys to go." I cried and cried. I honestly thought I could handle everything fine. She told me she wasn't going to tell my mom. I had to promise to never speak to that man ever again and never plan to meet a stranger online. He ended up showing up and was upset that I wasn't there. He went on aim, flying off the handle like I had never seen at that age. It scared me. It scared me how close I was to being near that man. I never talked to Dave again, but I easily believe I would have been kidnapped or worse that day if my best friend's mom hadn't stepped in. My mom would have been none the wiser. I was none the wiser. But I am here today, and I learned a dire lesson. These videos are intended to bring about awareness to the dark side of the world we live in. As a reality of life, violent crimes happen every day in our neighborhoods. Keep your loved ones safe. And remember to say I love you. If you liked the video, remember to like and subscribe. And remember, watch your back.